G'day, it's Gus Worland from Triple M and the TV show Man Up on the ABC, ambassador for Lifeline. I'm waiting here for Pete the lunatic, who's doing some training running from the city to my place as part of his marathon in New York City. So I'm just waiting for him now. Have a look at the style on the man. Hello, mate.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Look at this. Imagine running into you today.
You actually don't look at all puffed or anything.
Well,
you look good.
Gus, it just reflects the supreme athlete that I am. I'm not thinking of training at all before the New York City Marathon.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
you're an old New Yorker yourself, so I suppose you just know the streets, do you?
Well, when people ask me when I'm going to finish by, I say Christmas. So yeah.
You know the subway system.
Indeed. Hey, mate, listen, thanks for having a chat with us today.
It's a pleasure, no problem.
People know you as the TV presenter, people know you as the radio personality. We at Lifeline also know the strong commitment that you have around mental health and suicide prevention. Where does that come from?
Well, the passion comes from a mate of mine who took his own life 9 years ago, and I never quite got over it, to be honest with you, and I didn't talk to too many people about it, if any. I spoke to myself a lot.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with Man Up, I actually went and spoke to his wife and his family, and I realised that it was me that had the stigma in my head around suicide, and I was waiting for them to come to me. Right. And what I really should have been doing is saying, look, you know, I feel for you, I love you, how can I help you through this situation? And then I worked out, of course, that we lose so many Australian men every year. I could not believe the stat that, you know, the number one way to lose your life if you're a 15 to 45-year-old Aussie male is to take your own life. Absolutely. It still shocks me, and I know the numbers are going up, even though there's some really cool initiatives and some wonderful people trying to stop that. So, you know, for me, I just had to get involved. The statistics start at 15, my son is 16, right. So I've got a real, you know, interest in it now to make sure that he's okay, and all his mates, you know, I've known most of his mates for 10 years, and I love them, they're like another son to me, so I want to make sure that they're safe and they grow up knowing that being a bit vulnerable is actually a cool thing rather than this stoic, stereotypical sort of Australian man. We're not obviously coping with that. Masculinity needs to change the rules on what it is to be a man, and certainly the Man Up show taught me that. Okay,
so you talked about masculinity as being a kind of Australian norm, but the need to share our feelings on the other hand. What do you think it's going to take to actually change that for blokes to be able to express themselves? I
think we need to, well, put it this way, we need to get the young, you and I, sort of in up between 40 and 50, we need to be able to show our sons and the young men.
52, thank you very much.
52,
I look good.
You're looking fantastic.
Thank you.
So men of our age need to show the young men in Australia that it's okay to show some vulnerability. Yeah. So if you say to your son or your nephew or someone young in your life, you know what, I'm not having a great day today, and you're not full of all the BS that everything's wonderful and great and fantastic, you show them it's okay to be not okay, then that might teach them that, hey, I'm not feeling that well, and you know, Pete showed me that it was okay to be vulnerable, so I'm going to go to Pete and tell him that I'm not feeling that great. Because all you need is tell one person. That one person then might be able to steer you in the right direction, just to take the pressure valve off a little bit. Because our young men are running around trying to be this stoic, awesome person that has no dramas in their life. Well, it's obviously not working. Yeah.
Well, you've hinted a couple of important things like you know, rapport and connection with those young fellas and with other men, and listening to them, you know, without judgment. And I understand that one of the things that you're doing at the moment is in line with listening and not giving advice and trying to help people find the power within, that you're training as a Lifeline crisis support.
Well, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to actually be good enough to do it, to be honest with you. Right. I'm not a particularly good listener. I'm a fair communicator, but I talk a lot and I talk all the time, and I'm a typical male where if someone gives me a problem, I try to fix it, rather than sitting there and listening. And the night that I had at Nightline, which changed my life forever, when I sat down with a guy called Rocket, who's in the Man Up TV show, and he's a terrific guy, and he hardly said a word. Half an hour with this lady, and I know that that lady got off the phone thinking, you know what, I'm going to live through tonight and I'm going to try again tomorrow. And I just sat there and went, how can you not sort of stop her there and say, well, how about you do this and how about you do that? And he said, well, that's not what my job is. My job is to listen. So I have to learn that skill. It's a learnt skill for me. And if I can't get through the volunteering there, then I will do fundraising in some other way, or I will perhaps be someone who can do some training at young kids' school or something like that.
Look,
So
I think you're going to get through it easily. I mean, you've already shown that you can listen to your own soul and your own spirit, and you listen to your Angus's experience. So I think you're going to make a great crisis supporter and help us bring out that dignity that we try with our clients. Now, I do need advice.
Okay.
Right? You've run the New York City Marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toughest part of the run? What should I look out for?
Well, the year that I did it, which was 2014.
I know your problem was you had groupies that were getting in your way.
Of course.
Right.
Well, I was actually shooting a TV show, so at some stages I needed to stop and I needed to chat to people. I needed to get the experience because it was really boring just watching me actually do the run. So there was a little bit of that, but for me it never got above zero. So it was freezing cold. It was the coldest New York Marathon of all time. It was minus in certain areas. I never took my gloves off. I never took my beanie off. It was freezing cold. But for me, my body was okay, but it was my mind.
Okay.
My mind continually wanted to stop. And I kept saying, look, I'm doing a TV show. My family's at the finishing line. I need to get there. This is the perfect finish. But my mind kept saying to me, look, you've done a good effort to get here. What are you worried about? People are going to love you no matter what. As if your wife's going to turn you away if you do the best you can. Well, I just had to get through that because my body was fine. I'd done enough training. I'd run up to 32 kilometres. Right. 2 weeks before, so I knew I could do that. And then, of course, the day with the 2 million people watching along the sides. New York's one of the great cities, as you know, of the world, and that got me there. And I fell across the line, literally, and burst into tears and realised that I'd done something pretty cool.
Fantastic.
In a great city. So I'm going back there again soon, and I'm glad I'm not running the marathon. I'm glad I can just do the shows and the restaurants.
Hey, look, Gus Worland, just wanted to thank you very much for stopping us as we were doing our very normal training run in the street. Complete coincidence, of course.
Can't believe it.
But fundamentally from Lifeline, just a big thank you as well for Man Up, for the care and compassion that you're showing in your personal life and in your professional life. You know, creating that conversation, making it okay to talk about suicide, so important. And that you can use some of your time to do that. We really are indebted.
Well, I'm only just starting. I'm hoping to help you so much more. Guys like yourself, and the whole Lifeline setup is amazing, and you made me feel very welcome. So I'm glad you like me because I'm going to stick around.
Okay.
Thanks, Pete. Good on you, mate.
Which way do I go?
Go downhill.
Downhill.
It's easier. See you, mate.
Bye.
Looking good.
Sorry. I forgot to give you something.
Oh,
I just always carry one of these around because I might run into another TV and radio personality.
Oh, great. Thank you.
There you go.
Saving lives.
See you again.
See you, mate. Good style.